Are you a fan of science? Do you like to astound your friends with your scientific know-how and just that gigantic brain that you've got? Just like those cool cats over at 20-Sided Night? Do you also like stabbing and or shooting your friends with sharp projectiles? If you answered yes to one or all of those, you need to play a biohacker, and we're going to talk about it. You're fascinated by science in all of its many facets. You understand that the fundamentals of biology, chemistry, physics, and other disciplines can help you exploit your enemy's weaknesses and bolster your allies. You might be studious and methodical about your research, pushing your mind to the limit in search of discovery. Or you might be a daring experimenter, improvising concoctions and stumbling upon grand revelations. Either way, you use your knowledge of several fields of scientific study to aid your allies, whether in the thick of battle or in crafting a perfect plan. Yes, the biohacker, a paragon of scientific research and knowledge. They're actually not the weak pencil pushers that you might think a lab rat would be. The way I envision this is the biohacker is one of those people who is actually out in the field collecting their samples and doing the hard work, which is why the biohacker is going to start with 6 hit points and 6 stamina points plus your constitution modifier. For the biohacker, you're going to get an option of your key ability score, and it's one of the few classes that allows you to do this. You get to choose either intelligence or wisdom. And the way that the character operations manual explains this is kind of like the same way every game differentiates wisdom and intelligence. Intelligence is knowing tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad. Once you have made this choice, you cannot change it later.
You must choose, but choose wisely. For as the true grail will bring you life, the false grail will take it from you.
Secondly, depending on whatever you're doing for your character build and what you want your biohacker to look like, dexterity is going to be a great option if you want to do the ranged combat. This would be actually a good use for the biohacker, considering you can get your shooty dart guns and or even just your blow darts, I suppose. I don't think there's actually a weapons category for blow dart in this high-tech world. If you're going to make your biohacker be a little bit more up close and fighty, then you're going to want to have something in strength and constitution to allow you to take the hits. The biohacker is just as viable using ranged combat as it is using melee combat. Although having said that, ranged would be a little bit easier to use. As a biohacker, you're going to get a ton of class skills, but you only get 4 ranks plus your intelligence modifier. So if you're going to pick intelligence as your key ability score, you're going to get a lot more ranks to use skills with. And then for your proficiencies, you're going to get light armor, of course, basic melee weapons, small arms, and an interesting one, grenades. When you take your first level in Biohacker, you get an ability called Custom Micro Lab. This is the basis and the building point of your entire Biohacker and all of its abilities. The way I see this working out in the real world or in the physical world would be a little bit like the Pip-Boy from the Fallout universe. You get sort of not necessarily as bulky, but you get an attachment that goes on your arm or something equivalent. And it's basically just a little chemistry lab with all of your mixing and chemicals and various ingredients that you use for your serums. And it's all sort of contained into this one little unit. Basically, however you install this on your body, it does not need to be in your hand to function. There is a lot of things that this unit can do. Like I said, you can use it as a med kit, you can use it as a chemical analyzer, you can use it to identify creatures and items. You can use it to brew your serums and all your potions and medicinal ingredients. You can also attune this item to your party members. You get 3 off the get-go, plus whatever your key ability score modifier is. That's how many people you can attune to, and that takes about 10 minutes. The reason you would want to take the time to do this, in order to shoot your serums into somebody, they have to be willing or they have to be attuned. And alternatively, if they are not willing, then you have to make some sort of an attack roll to do it, but we'll cover that We'll cover that in a little bit. At 5th level, your custom micro lab becomes an advanced medkit or functions like an advanced medkit. At 9th level, it functions like a medical lab, and the range increases to 90 feet. And then at 17th level, the range increases to 120 feet. If your custom microlab is damaged or destroyed, you can just make a new one. I don't know how it would get destroyed unless you were doing something particularly dumb with it, or an enemy got a lucky shot, in which case maybe your dungeon master is being a little mean with you. I don't know. At 1st level, you also gain an ability called Biohacks, because you're the biohacker, right? For your biohacks, you're going to get 1 per day, plus whatever your key ability score is. This is how many you will be able to have ready on the go to do whatever you want. You don't have to declare what they are for prepping them, kind of like preparing mage spells, I suppose, in D&D, but you don't have to do that. You do have to declare what it is while you're using it. To replenish these materials, it will take an 8-hour rest. And the types of things that you can do with this, there are 4 basics that you will get right off the hop. You will get a basic booster with the effects to the side of me here. Please note that at certain levels, the effects last a little bit longer or do a little bit more in terms of their potency. You will get a basic inhibitor, which again will increase its potency and duration at various levels once you've met those. Please note that of the 3 options that you have for your basic booster and basic inhibitor, you only get to select one of what's actually going to happen. And to use this, you have to be in melee range, which does not require an attack roll. Or you have to be within range of your custom micro lab and using a ranged weapon with the injector type, and then you do not have to make an attack roll. If you're outside of the range of your custom micro lab, you have to make an attack roll. And if you miss, not only is the ammo gone that you've just shot from your weapon, but so is the ability. It does not come back. Which makes sense. You've used the ingredients to make a serum, whether that serum lands in its target, or on the floor, or on a wall, or in the deep depressing void of space. The point is, it's used and gone. You'll also gain 2 minor biohacks, a minor booster and a minor inhibitor. They don't count towards your total biohacks when used, but for the purposes of some abilities, they are considered to be a biohack. Essentially, the minor booster allows you to basically heal an ally from a distance, or at higher levels, it allows you to treat poison. You can also treat diseases with this at higher levels and have that target gain some sort of resistance towards that particular disease for a while. And the minor inhibitor is a little bit like a sedative that you can just slip into your target there, and it makes it so that they're not as good as attacking you. Of course, at level 1, you'll also be proficient with injection weapons, or anything that has the injection special property. At level 2, you'll gain a +1 attack bonus to these weapons. At 9th level, that goes up to +2, and at 18th level, it goes up to +3. And no, your friends don't take the damage from your weapon when you shoot them with your serums or drugs or drugs. You can't drug your friends. Don't do that. At level 1, you're also going to select your primary field of study. This is what type of science you as a biohacker specialize in. There are 5 fields of study that you can select from, each having their own breakthrough ability, which you will unlock at specified levels. The breakthrough is just basically an additional bonus to making that particular area of science for you more powerful. The first field of study that you can look at for a biohacker will be genetics. Second will be immunology. Third will be neurochemistry. Fourth will be pharmacology. And last but not least, toxicology. And finally, the last thing you get to pick for your biohacker at level 1. I promise this gets easier as this goes on. Are you a hard worker? Someone who has to hit the books and really try hard to understand the science and the material that you're covering? Or are you one of those bastards who's just naturally gifted at things and just good at stuff when you set your mind to it? Please note that whatever you choose, several skills which will be listed under each of those options allow you to change the associated ability score with several skills. So please pay attention to that and don't forget to add those bonuses, because depending on which way you go will make some skills harder than others, but this switch allows you to make up for the difference. Not to mention a couple of skills get some pretty sweet bonuses. At level 2, you gain your first theorem. A theorem is an added bonus that can affect your biohacker abilities. For example, I enjoy painful injection as one of them. And it's a good example of what a theorem does. Painful injection allows you to add your key ability score modifier in damage to your enemy whenever you hit them with an injection. There are different tiers of theorems and you have to be at certain levels before you can take from the list. So just be aware of that. At second level, you get to select your first theorem, and every 2 levels thereafter, you get to add another one. You cannot select the same theorem more than once. And once you've selected a theorem, you cannot change it. At level 3, you gain the Spark of Ingenuity. This allows you to, once per day, change the way one of your biohacks work. And it will change depending on what field of study you selected, so please read this one carefully. If you're a studious biohacker, you can combine 2 basic or 2 minor biohacks together into one ability. Or you can do 2 of each of those combined into one ability. If you're an instinctive biohacker, you can remove status effects from your target. And at higher levels, you can remove more status effects. Alternatively, you can also add status effects to your biohacks, to your enemies, as it were. At third level, you gain your weapon specialization, so this just adds a little bit of extra damage to all of the weapons that a biohacker would be proficient with. At level 7, you're going to get to select a second field of study. Please note that it must be different than your first. From 7th level, you're not going to get any more additional perks until level 13. And that's when you get to pick your third field of study. And then it's another long time until you get an extra ability from the biohacker. I mean, let's face it though, you've really had lots of options to this point. At level 19, you're going to get Resolve Analysis. And basically, whenever you use your Spark of Ingenuity, you gain a resolve point. At level 20, though, you will gain the ability to use Super Serum. A Super Serum is something that you as the biohacker have created. You are so good at creating your poisons or mixing whatever chemicals you will that you have created your very own Super Serum or Super Drug. You can use this twice per day, and you prepare them in the 10 minutes it takes to create all your other general biohack nonsense. Basically, what your Super Serum can do is you can grant major healing to an ally or bring someone back from the dead, recently deceased, asterisks. You can change the genetic makeup of your target, which basically allows you to deal a shitload of damage to them. 17d10 dice. And they're exhausted. Now, if they pass a fortitude save, then it's only half damage, and they're fatigued for 1 round instead of exhausted. You can also remove debilitating conditions. This would be things that have major drain on your abilities or your attributes. You can just make that go away. It can also remove any magical effects that are preventing a creature from accessing their memory. So the Super Serums are pretty cool. I like the Biohacker. It's a great support class and even a good combat class on its own merit. You can use all your abilities on your party as long as you've attuned to them. You can also use the abilities on yourself. Combined with the hit points and the stamina, the long-range abilities, this is a very viable class, and it's a great option for somebody who's looking to have that support ability, but not be so far out of it that they are ineffective in combat. And they're not squishy, so they have that going for them, which is nice. My only concern for the Biohacker is somebody who's not familiar with tabletop systems or maybe even Starfinder in general will find this to be a very difficult class to play in the beginning. There's a lot of information and a lot of skills that you have to know how to combine and how to maneuver and manipulate and put together. And the book gives you a lot of paragraphs that you have to read to try to understand all of this. And it's more of a skill management. It's more of like a skill or your ability management than it is actually like a resource management. New players who are looking to play the Biohacker, just be aware that there's a lot of things you need to know going in, and please read your abilities and what they do very, very carefully. Experienced players who are looking for just that something a little different, I would absolutely recommend playing the Biohacker. Up on the screen now, I will have some other videos that I've done around different classes in the Starfinder universe, so please check those out. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button. My name's Nathaniel. You've been watching The Maple Table. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.